बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। आज के इस सेशन में हम जिस टॉपिक को स्टार्ट करने जा रहे हैं, इट इज़ अबाउट द कम्बिनेशन ऑफ थ्योरी ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, थ्योरी ऑफ कॉस्ट एंड थ्योरी ऑफ मार्केट स्ट्रक्चर. So within this class activity or maybe session, we would uh, taste the flavor of theory of production, theory of cost, and somehow we would also touch some of the types of market structures like perfect competition and monopoly. But the example that you are watching upon your screens, it is from perfect competition. What these terms mean for, I'll be explaining it after some time. Let me begin my session. This is determination of optimum employment of variable input into short run. So first of all, we should know that what is meant by a term short run. Then what is an understanding of variable input, when an input can be an optimum input and when it is not an optimum input, and how it is determined. So first of all, let me discuss that what is short run time. Let me open up a new slide within which I'll be sharing some information about short run. Here it is. Okay. Short run, basically it is a time period. There are different perspectives of the people which prevail in the market, that short run is a time which is below than 1 year. It is maybe a season based time. So variety of explanations you can find uh, about short run time, but I have a different perspective about short run time and I'm going to share it with you. If it makes sense to you, then borrow it. Otherwise, explore some other explanation. Uh, I agree up till here that it is a season based time, right? It can be below than 1 year as well. But the thing is that the moment you change your size of capital, then you have just launched a company, and right after 6 months you have just changed the size of your capital. Then how would you define it is below than 1 year, since you have opened up a new branch of your company, and you have just changed the size of your capital, you have upgraded technology and things like that, and your business is started expanding. So in that case, how would you define a short run then? Would you remain into short run since it is below than 1 year, or would you be entering into the long run? So after raising few questions to myself, then I have come to the answer that it should not be below than 1 year, right? Some company, if it has changed its size of capital, then eventually it should enter to the long run, irrespective of the time, whether you have changed the size of capital after 2 months of the start of your business, or maybe after 3 months, and so on. And some, for instance, if a company is not changing its size of capital until the 5 years, so do you think after crossing 1 year and size of capital is still fixed, and a company should enter to the long run? So it does not make any sense to me. I don't agree with this argument that a company which is crossing 1 year and it is operating with the fixed capital, eventually it will enter to the long run. So it does not convince me. That is why I disagree with this argument. So I have my own perspective and I'm proposing it to all of you people, whether you agree or disagree. uh, you could explore some more information from the books, along with some information from the websites, right, of economic courses, and then start up a statement based upon logic. So the thing that makes me understand that if a firm is operating into short run, we agree that there are some inputs which remain fixed into short run, and there are some inputs which remain variable into short run. And the fixed inputs can be capital, it can be labor, it can be land, and it can be organization. So organization is such an input that combines the rest of the three inputs like land, labor, capital, right? So when organization combines the rest of the three inputs to convert the raw material into the finished product, then we say that inputs are transformed into outputs because of organization, right? So organization is an input that basically combines the rest of the other inputs. So can you change your administrative staff, your top notch officials? It is not possible for any company to change its staff on frequent basis. So it is a long run variable, it is not a short run variable. So within short run, organization input should remain fixed. It does not change on daily basis. However, the capital cannot be changed into short run, since we believe that it is a season based time. And when it is a season based time, and if we are changing the size of capital, then the investment will be blocked until the next season, right? For instance, if I'm investing into the Ramadan season for any specific product which is quite useful or which is quite demanding within Ramadan period, so I'll be coming up with some fixed amount of capital for these 30 days. And if demand is increasing, I will not change my size of capital. The reason is that I'll have to operate for the 30 days. And if I bring some more investment, and if what if the 30 days have passed, then I'll have to keep all such stuff for the next season of Ramadan, right? So why should I block my investment? So purpose of fixing capital for short run is that it will be blocked if in case of we increase our capital because of increase in demand, right? So the capital should also remain fixed within short run, it should not change. The third input is about land. On daily basis we cannot change the land where we are operating our business, right? So on daily basis, for that, just consider an example of UMT. What if UMT changes its building from JT to any other city? Would it be convenient for you to go there and take your classes? It would be quite difficult for you people, right? And what if after 3 months again university has made a plan to change its city again, or maybe change its building from that place to any new place? So what happens here, it definitely creates a sense of tension for you people. So this is not possible in reality. So into short run, a firm always keep its land as fixed, right? So organization, capital, and land, these are the three inputs that remain fixed into short run. And remember that this is the one perspective about the definition of land that what I've shared with you. Its definition, I'll be explaining it right after some time once I'll finish with the short run time. The fourth input is about labor. Labor is such an input which basically uses its mental abilities, physical efforts to convert the raw material into the finished product, right? So labor is such an input that you can hire on daily basis and you can fire it on daily basis. So labor is such an input that remains variable into short run, right? If you hire a labor and if you don't find him more productive, more efficient, you would eventually ask him not to come to next day, right? So this is up to you. So the decision is with you. You have hired it on today and you have fired him on today, and you'll be hiring the new labor upon the next day, right? So here is an example of labor which is a variable input into short run. but the rest of the three inputs like land, capital, and organization, these are the three inputs that remain fixed into short run. So on these grounds, we say that there are some inputs which remain fixed into short run, and there are some inputs which remain variable into short run. The second point says in this time, labor is the only variable factor of production. Factor of production, all such factors which help you in producing goods and services, right? So we in economics we call inputs as factors of production or inputs. Both are the same things. How and the third term for factors of production or inputs is used as resources, right? However, all the remaining three inputs, what are the remaining three inputs? Land, capital, and organization. They are fixed into short run. Okay, now let me add one more thing over here. As you have said that the capital is fixed, let me write over here capital. It is represented with the capital K. It is fixed in short run, right? So when capital is fixed in short run, so think about production capacity of a firm. Production capacity or productive capacity. Productive capacity of a firm is a function of capital, right? And scale of the plant. It is also dependent upon firm. It is also dependent upon capital. Since capital is fixed, right? Productive capacity of the firm is based upon capital. Scale of the plant of a firm is based upon capital. Since capital is fixed, so productive capacity of a firm is fixed. A firm, if it has a potential to produce 1000 units with 1 lakh rupees in the form of investment, then if the size of the capital in the form of investment is not changing, then the productive capacity of a firm is not changing. Since the capital is fixed, you have installed a fixed plant which can give you 100,000 units. So a scale, the maximum scale that you are using would not change. If a plant has a potential, if a plant has a capacity to give you 10,000 units per day, it will not be changed since the size of capital is fixed, right? So if you change the size of capital, then the scale of the plant will be changed and eventually productive capacity of a farm will change, right? So when capital is fixed, both scale of the plant and productive capacity of a farm remains fixed, right? So this is something that you need to keep in your mind. I've just write this information to make you understand that what is happening into point number 3. Productive capacity and scale of the plant of any firm depends upon capital. As capital is fixed in the short run, therefore both productive capacity and scale of the plant do not change in short run. Probably this would have make you clear that what I have written before explaining this point. In point number 4, in the short run, a firm faces loss of return. This is very much important. A short run is a time that provides you an understanding about laws of return. Okay, if somebody raises a question that what do we mean by laws of return? So laws of return is the combination of law of increasing return and law of decreasing returns, right? So what is law of increasing returns? This refers to the advantages of short run time, right? So the advantages of short run are called as law of increasing returns. And all of we know that in case of advantage, if we are producing or manufacturing a product, if our income in the form of revenue is increasing or if our output is increasing, this basically refers to advantage of short run. And at the same time, if the cost of production is falling, it is decreasing, it is again an advantage of a firm into short run. So a short run advantage is basically based upon increase in income in the form of revenue, or increase in production or output. At the same time, the other thing which is happening into the in case of advantage, that the cost of production is falling, right? In this time, both average production and marginal production are increasing, while average cost and marginal cost are decreasing, right? So your returns are increasing. Let me write over here, advantage equals, number one, increase in production, right? And number two, decrease in cost, right? So in case of production, we will talk about total production, average production, and marginal production. So in simply, we will ignore the total one and consider the average and marginal production in mind. So both average production of labor, which is called APL, and marginal production of labor, in short, which is called MPL, both will increase in case of increasing returns. While in case of decreasing cost, what is happening, the average cost and marginal cost both will fall, right, in case of increasing returns. So increasing returns are also called as law of decreasing cost. This is another name of the increasing returns, right? In production, it is increasing returns, and in cost, it is decreasing cost case, right? And it is happening in case of short run when a firm is enjoying advantages, right? And in case when a firm is enjoying disadvantages, or it is facing disadvantages, then the vice versa will happen. This will be written as law of decreasing return, and this can be written as law of increasing cost, right? So let us move towards the law of decreasing return, or law of increasing cost, right? So disadvantage refers to decrease in production but increase in cost. So this refers to the disadvantages of short run time. In this time, both average production and marginal production are decreasing, and average cost and marginal cost are increasing, right? So by combining the both, we will come to know that this is laws of return, right? So laws of return refers to the advantages of short run and disadvantages of short run, right? So just consider a case of ECG. In case of ECG, you will find that into ECG, there are some spikes you are observing. These are increasing and decreasing, ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. A combination of ups and downs are is an ECG report. And when you find stability upon the ECG, then that says that you have entered to the long run. Eventually, when you would leave this immortal world, you would eventually enter to the long run. The state line refers to entering to the long run. The long run refers to the stability time, right? Within long run, you enjoy stable profits. So that is why into long run we also incorporate a role of stability. But in short run, you always remain or you would always experience ups and downs, right? Sometimes you are enjoying advantages, and sometimes you are enjoying disadvantages. disadvantages. There is no concept of stability into short run. Okay, now let's just understand these three terms. Total output, it can be written for labor as TPL, total output, total production of labor. And if you are using capital as variable input, then it will be written as total production produced by capital. So total production of capital, right? Similarly, average product of labor, it is APL. It can be found by dividing total output of labor upon units of labor, right? And you can also write average product of capital APK. This, the formula for APK is that you will be dividing total product of output, total product of capital upon units of capital. Marginal product of capital, labor, MPL. This is change in total product of labor divided by change in units of labor, right? Similarly, MPK can be written as change in total output produced by capital divided by change in units of capital, right? Now let me define or write their names. Total prod, total product of labor, total product of capital, right? Then average product of labor, then average product of capital, it's APK, TPK divided by units of capital. Similarly, you can define marginal product of labor and marginal product of capital. Right? So this is the information, basic concepts that we use in the theory of production. Okay. Now let me write one relationship over here. I'll be explaining about it after some time. Relationship between APL and MPL, right? This is very much important. And at the same time, I'll be explaining it, relationship between APL and MPL, and relationship between AC, average total cost, and MC, marginal cost, right? Let me define these terms as well over here. Total cost, we'll be writing it by TC. Average total cost with ATC. The formula for ATC is total cost divided by units of output. Q is unit of output, quantity, or maybe instead of Q, you can also write TPL or TPK, whatever is given, right? It is average total cost. Then there comes a concept of marginal cost. What is this? It is MC, and the formula is change in total cost divided by change in quantity, or you can write TPL, total output from labor, and total production produced by capital, right? Since we are talking about short run time, and into short run the variable input is labor, that is why we will be writing TPL, right, instead of TPK. TPK cannot be written over here since the capital is fixed, right? Now let me define the relationships over here as well. In earlier time, let me make a table over here so that you could get a complete understanding of these things. Okay, um, concepts of production, right? When law of increasing returns is applying, when law of increasing returns is experienced by a firm, in case of production, what is happening? Both MPL and APL are increasing, right? But MPL increases more faster than increase in increase of APL. But the MPL increases more than increase in but the MPL increases more than increase in APL, right? Hence, what happens? Hence, MPL remains greater than APL. Okay, this is the conclusion about the concept of production. At the same time, a firm is experiencing law of decreasing cost, concepts of costs, what is happening over here. Both MC and ATC, sorry. Both MC and ATC are decreasing, but MC marginal cost decreases more than decrease in ATC, right? So hence marginal cost remains less than average total cost. And the point is same, okay? The second point is about when average product becomes maximum, or at the same time average total cost becomes minimum, right? What happens then when APL becomes maximum? Remember that when APL is maximum, it is always equals to marginal product of labor. So marginal product of labor is always equals to APL when APL becomes maximum. And in case of cost, what is happening? Marginal cost becomes equals to average total cost at a point where average total cost become minimum, right? Average total cost when it is minimum, it is always equal to marginal cost, and average product of labor when it is maximum, it is always equal to MPL. And the third point is when average product of labor is decreasing and average total cost is increasing, right? Let me add one more column over here to give more clear understanding, right? The both two stages are refers to, in this case, law of decreasing returns is applied, but in first case law of increasing returns is applied, right? When average product of labor is increasing and average total cost is decreasing, right? So laws of returns behavior of APL or ATC, right? So let me just clear this table for you people, right? In case of the third point, when law of diminishing returns are applied and APL is decreasing, what is happening here? Both MPL and APL are decreasing, but the MPL decreases more than decrease in APL. Resultantly, MPL becomes less than APL. In third point, in case of cost, when disadvantages are experienced, both MC and ATC are increasing, but MC increases more than increase in ATC. Resultantly, MC remains greater than ATC. This is very important relation that we need to keep in our mind. I'm gonna relate this concept, the points that I've explained over here. I'm just gonna use a table. Within that table, I'll be explaining each and everything to you people, right? Just wait for some time. Now I'm gonna move towards the table so that you could have a clear picture that what is happening. So up till here, I've just explained a short run time, right? Then I've explained about laws of returns, like increasing and decreasing returns, right? And on the other side, I've explained the relationship between production curves and cost curves, right? So now let me explain you the table. But before to start about the table, let me explain that what the terms of uh, uh, table refers to. So within the table, there will be a term K used. The K represents units of capital, L represents units of labor, while you would find a word QX, a term QX into the table, and QX refers to quantity of product X produced, or there is another name of this term which is called as total production of labor, or you could write it as total product of labor, right? Both are showing the same meaning. Then you will find a term PX into the table. PX shows that it is the price of the product that you are producing, which is say X. So that is why it is PX. PX means price of good X. Then you will find the term TR. TR is a term which is called total revenue. Total revenue is also called as income of a firm. The formula for total revenue is P multiplied by Q. So eventually, since the product is X, so it should be PX, and the since the quantity is QX, so it should be QX, right? But I've just written it as journal so that everybody could understand that the price multiplied by quantity will provide you total revenue. Similarly, average revenue is the ratio of total revenue to the output produced. So AR refers to average revenue, and it can be found by dividing total revenue upon quantity. And we know that total revenue is equals to price into quantity divided by quantity will remain as it is, equals. Then this term can be written as P into Q. We have just extracted P from the formula, and then sign of multiplication appears, then Q divided by Q. When you divide Q upon Q, the answer should be 1, and P into 1 answer is P, right? Then a term MR you will see in the table. It is marginal revenue. Marginal revenue can be found by taking change in total revenue, and this change should be divided upon change in output Q, right? So MR equals change in total revenue divided by change in quantity. Then APL appears. It is average product of labor, and it will be found by dividing total product of labor upon units of labor. Then MPL will appear. This is change in Q or change in TPL divided by change in units of labor equals MPL. Then you would see MRPL term in the table. MRPL refers to marginal revenue product of labor, right? So marginal revenue product of labor is the multiplication of marginal revenue with MPL, right? So when you multiply marginal revenue, just look at this information. When you multiply MR with MPL, you will eventually get MRPL. MRPL refers to marginal revenue product of labor. Then there comes VMPL. VMPL is the value of marginal product of labor, right? So V represents value, MPL represents marginal product of labor. So whatever marginal product of labor you have found, what is its value in the market. So what you need to do, you just need to multiply MPL with the price to obtain value of marginal product of labor. Then there comes W. W is wages. It equals PL. PL is price of labor. So price of labor is actually the wages of the worker, right? So price of labor and wages of the worker are the same things, right? Small I, it is price of capital. You can call it as interest rate. So interest is the earning of the capital and wages is the earning of the labor. So interest equals PK. So interest rate, it is price of capital and it is fixed input into short run. So both will be given to you in the statement. Total fixed cost, TFC is total fixed cost. The formula for total fixed cost is that price of the fixed input multiplied by units of fixed inputs. Okay? So price of fixed input multiplied by units of fixed inputs. So what you need to do, you can define this fixed cost as all the expenditures made by the firm on its fixed inputs are called as fixed cost, right? So all the expenditures made by the firm upon its fixed inputs are called as fixed cost. Similarly, the expenditures made by the firm upon its variable inputs will be called as variable cost. All the expenditures made by the firm upon its variable inputs are called as variable cost, right? And into short run, we know that labor is a variable input. So what you need to do, you need to multiply price of variable input with units of variable input. So price of variable input is wages into short run and units of variable input is labor, right? So W multiplied by L equals total variable cost. Then what about TC? TVC was total variable cost. TC is the total cost. Total cost can be found by adding the both costs, fixed cost and variable cost. So what you need to do, you just need to add the both fixed cost and variable cost, or you can add this formula. Instead of fixed cost, we can write price of capital multiplied by units of capital. And instead of total variable cost, we can also write price of labor into units of labor, right? So total cost is the sum of fixed cost and variable cost, or fixed expenditures plus variable expenditures of a firm. Fixed expenditures are made upon fixed inputs and variable expenditures are made upon variable inputs. So then there comes average fixed cost. Average fixed cost can be found by dividing total fixed cost upon quantity of output that you are producing, or you could divide it upon total product of labor as well, right? Both are the same things. Then average variable cost, ABC, it can be found by dividing total variable cost upon quantity, right? Then in case of average total cost, in case of ATC, meaning that average total cost, how would you find it out? Average total cost equals total cost divided by output, TPL, or you could add average fixed cost and average variable cost to obtain average total cost. Then there comes marginal cost, MC. Marginal cost can be found by taking the ratio of change in total cost to the change in Q. Q is your total product of labor. Then there comes total profit, T profit. Total profit can be found by taking the difference of revenue and cost. यानी आपने क्या करना है, total cost को total revenue में से subtract करना है, and eventually you would come up with total profit. So the difference between total revenue and total cost is called as total profit. What about marginal profit, M profit? M profit can be written as change in total profit divided by change in total product of labor, right? Or you can write it as the difference between marginal revenue and marginal cost is also called as marginal profit, right? So these are the points that you need to keep in your mind before starting up your table. Now let me go back to the table. Let me go back to the table. Let me open up a new slide for you people. This is the table. Here you could see all the information written over here. The row which I've just highlighted for you people. K represents units of capital, L represents units of labor, QX represents quantity of good X produced by a firm, PX represents price of good X, TR represents total revenue, AR is average revenue, MR is marginal revenue, APL is average product of labor, MPL is marginal product of labor. Then there comes MRPL, it is marginal revenue product of labor. VMPL is value of marginal product of labor. W is wages of the worker. PL is price of labor. Both are same. I represents interest rate. PK represents price of capital. Both are same. And this is the cost of fixed input. Then total fixed cost, expenditures made upon fixed inputs is called as fixed cost. Then total variable cost, TVC, these are the expenditures of a firm made upon its variable inputs. TC is total cost. Total cost refers to the total expenditures of a firm made upon its fixed inputs and its variable inputs. Average fixed cost is that what are the average cost of a firm which is made upon its fixed input, right? So what you need to do, you just need to divide total fixed cost upon quantity of output that you are producing. Then there comes average variable cost. It is again dividing total variable cost upon quantity of output produced. Then average total cost, by adding average fixed cost and average variable cost, we will obtain average total cost. Then there comes marginal cost. It will be found by taking the change of total cost to the change of quantity of output produced by a firm. Total profit appears by subtracting revenue and cost. You know, when you subtract total cost from total revenue, you will obtain total profit. And when you subtract marginal cost from marginal revenue, you will obtain marginal profit, right? And there are some important points which I just want to let you know. But let me check the time. The time is already completed. So I'll be discussing the remaining points of regarding this table into the next class. Up till here, I'm done with my lecture. Uh, Thank you very much for listening me. Have a good time.